how to crochet bauble Christmas ornaments. Alrighty, before we hop into the tutorial, you can find a full supplies list and link to the written pattern in the description box below. This pattern is designed to use 2 strands of fingering weight yarn held together or 1 strand of worsted, but in today's tutorial I'm going to be using a bulky weight yarn of a lighter color so that you can easily see my stitches. Keep in mind that this pattern will look great for whatever yarn you love and enjoy, so have fun with it and choose whichever yarn you like best. Okay, we're going to start off by making a magic ring. If you don't prefer magic rings, you can make a slip knot, chain 3, and then join that chain to form a ring as well. So I'm going to make a magic ring today, and then simply chain 1 to lock that ring. And you will do that as well if you are doing a chain 3 ring too. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and get started with round 1. We're going to place 8 half double crochet stitches into our ring. So we're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and that is a half double crochet stitch. We're going to do that 7 more times to result in 8 total stitches. And like I said, you can find the written pattern down in the description box, so if you would like to print it out to follow along as you are following this tutorial, please feel free to do that. Alrighty, I have 6, so let's do 2 more. There's 1 and 2. Now we're going to close this ring if you chose to do a magic ring. And we're going to slip stitch to that very first stitch. It can be a little tricky to find that because of that chain 1, so just be sure to place it in the right spot. This right here is our first stitch. If you look right below that, you'll see that chain 1. So we're going to insert our hook into that very first stitch, just like so, and make a slip stitch. So simply pull through a loop, and then pull through the loop on your hook as well. Then we're going to chain 1 and start round 2. Keep in mind that this slip stitch does not count as a stitch. So if you need to place your marker in this first stitch so that you don't get confused, or even in that stitch to know that you shouldn't work into it, please go ahead and do that. Alrighty, for round 2, we're going to place 2 half double crochet stitches in each stitch around. We'll have 16 stitches at the end of this round. So we're simply going to insert our hook into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into, make a half double crochet, and then go back into that same stitch right down there and work your second half double crochet. We're going to do that in each stitch around. So 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, and again we're going to repeat that all the way around until we get to that first stitch again. Alrighty, I'm back to the beginning of my round. Remember, it looks like we have 1 more stitch left, but that is our slip stitch, so don't work in that. It'll get your stitch counts off, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, we're going to slip stitch into this first stitch again. Each of our rounds are joined, so we are not working in a spiral for this pattern. Be sure to keep that in mind as well. Alrighty, round 3 is going to be our last increase round. So we're going to chain 1 again. And this chain 1 just gets us to the right height so that our half double crochets look as neat as they can. Alrighty, for round 3, we're going to start our repeat. That's going to be half double crochet 1 in the first stitch, and then half double crochet 2 in the next stitch. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. So again, that is half double crocheting in the next stitch, just 1, and then half double crochet 2 in the next stitch. Half double crochet 1 in the next stitch, half double crochet 2 in the following stitch. We're going to repeat that all the way around until we get back to the beginning of our round. Alrighty, I just completed round 3. I ended on an increase, which is exactly what we're supposed to do. And again, I'm not going to work in this little slip stitch here. This next stitch is our chain 1. Sometimes it's visible, sometimes it's not, just depending on how tight you did it. But that is also not a stitch. So we're just going to slip stitch into the first half double crochet stitch that we worked in round 3 to close up that round. Now we're going to work 3 rounds of just half double crochet. So we're simply going to place 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. There are now 24 stitches around our little ball shape here, and we're just going to work 3 plain rounds. So again, that's chain 1 and simply half double crochet in each stitch around. And that is all there is to it for 3 full rounds. These little Christmas bauble ornaments make the perfect last-minute gift or little addition to your Christmas decorations or holiday decorations. You could also use this ball shape to make any other thing that you want. A funny idea would be to attach it to a longer string and make it into like a cat toy or something like that. I know it sounds funny, but I think my cat would absolutely love that. So maybe I'll have to do that and pretend that it's a little Christmas gift for her. Okay, so I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch around for this round and then 2 more. And then I will meet you back here to close up this ball. Alrighty, I just finished my last round of just plain half double crochet stitches. I'm going to slip stitch into my first half double crochet stitch, and now we are ready to begin our decrease rounds to form the bottom of our ball shape. So we're going to start off by chaining 1, and we're going to start round 7. So we are going to half double crochet in the first stitch, and then half double crochet the next 2 stitches together for the second half of our repeat. So to work a half double crochet 2 together, it's really simple. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook into our next stitch, and pull up a loop just like normal. Now instead of finishing off this stitch, we're going to do that same thing again. We're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up another loop, and now we're going to yarn over and pull through all of those loops on the hook. So we just turned those 2 half double crochet stitches into 1 to form our decrease. Perfect. So we're going to do that again. Half double crochet in the next stitch, and then half double crochet the next 2 stitches together. Yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then pull through all of those stitches. So we're going to do that repeat all the way around until we come back to the beginning of a round. We'll finish this round off, and then we will stuff our ball. Okay, and back to the beginning of my round. I'm going to finish off this round by slip stitching into that first stitch once again. Now you want to go ahead and stop at this point and stuff your ball. We're going to be working 1 more decrease round before we actually close it up, but because we're only going to have 8 stitches at the end of that round, it'll be hard to fit your hand in there to get the necessary stuffing in. So I have my stuffing over here. And you could use a polyester stuffing like I'm using today. You could use yarn scraps. You could fill it with beads or little like pantyhose with beans in it or something like that to make it weighted down more. Whatever works best for you, but my personal favorite is just regular stuffing. So I'm simply going to shove this in there until it's pretty full. Probably going to end up using all of this stuffing. Yeah, I think so. Note that because I'm using a bulkier wet yarn, my little bauble ornament is going to be much bigger than yours. But that's the beauty of this pattern. You can use whatever yarn you like. Okay, so now I'm going to put my hook back into my loop. And I'm ready to work my final round. So I'm going to start off by chaining 1. And our repeat for this round is simply going to be half double crocheting together all the way around. So we are simply going to insert our hook into this very first stitch, pull up a loop, and then insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop again, and finish that off by pulling through all of those loops to result in our half double crochet 2 together stitch. So we are simply going to do that all the way around to get us back down to 8 stitches. Half double crochet these 2 together, half double crochet the next 2, and just kind of use your fingers to avoid the stuffing. I know it can be just a little bit tricky, but it's necessary to get it as plump as we can. Alrighty, I'm going to continue doing this all the way around and then I will meet back here to finish it off. Okay, I am back to the beginning of my round. I am simply going to insert my hook into this very first stitch and slip stitch for the very last time. And now we are done with the crochet part of our ornament. So you can cut your yarn, leave a little bit of your tail because we're going to use this to close up the remaining little hole that we have. So just cut that and then yarn over and pull through to secure that nice and tight. Okay, so this is the point where if your ball is not as firm as you want it to be, go ahead and put some more stuffing in through this little tiny hole. I think mine is just fine how it is, so I'm going to leave it just like this. Now grab your yarn needle. These bent tip ones are my absolute favorite, but you can use whatever you have on hand, of course. Thread that through the eye. And we're going to, oh, I think I missed a strand there. Yep, I did. Let's try that again. This yarn splits a little bit. It's hard to get it all through that small eye. There we go. Okay, now we're going to close up this hole. Now, my favorite way to do this is to whip stitch around the front of each of these stitches. So when we're crocheting, we typically work through both little strands of this V here. For closing this hole, I like to work through the front strand only. So I'm going to take my threaded needle, go into the front of the first stitch, and then kind of whip it back around, go through the front of the next one, and then do that all the way around. You could go ahead and pull through the yarn like this if you like. You could wait and do that at the very end, whichever works best for you. So simply make sure you go through every single stitch. And you can do whatever method you want. This is my favorite, but if you have a favorite of your own to close up a hole, go ahead and do that. It does not have to be specific. Alrighty, and then once you've gone through all of those stitches, that's where the magic happens, simply pull, and now that hole is all closed up. Perfect. Okay, so now we're just going to weave in this end. I like to go straight through the center of the ball, poke the needle back out in a random spot, and then do that once more. Kind of in the opposite direction. It really, there's no science to it. And there we go. So make sure everything is nice and snug, and then you can cut that tail as close to the ball as possible so that it doesn't stick out. And then I forgot to mention this earlier, that original strand of yarn that you used to start the ball, simply leave that alone, stuff it in the ball, it can help with the stuffing a little bit. There's no need to do anything with that because it's nice and secure inside the ornament. Okay, so the final step to our ornament, and this is only if you're going to turn it into an ornament. You could also, give this to a toddler and let them play with it like a ball. I'm sure any toddler would love that, but I'm going to turn mine into an ornament. So I have a little scrap ball of yarn here. You could use like any type of ribbon or yarn that you would like. I just like using this. I'm going to cut maybe, I don't know, a 6 to 8 inch tail. Trim that. And then you could thread this through your sewing needle, or you could just use your crochet hook like I'm going to do. I'm going to go back up to the very beginning of my ball. So I treat this as the top. I like the look of it a little bit more than the decrease section. I kind of want that to be at the bottom, especially since it's totally normal to have just a little bit of stuffing showing. So I'm going to just insert my needle under and through the top of my ornament, just like that. I'm going to fold this strand of yarn in half and pull it through with my crochet hook. Again, you could totally do this with a sewing needle if you prefer. And then we're just going to tie this in a knot. So bring the ends together and then tie it in a simple overhand knot. So my favorite way to do this is to hold both strands, wrap them around my finger, grab them again with the other hand, and pull it through. Just like this. And there we go. So now this can hang on to your tree or, your door, anything that you would like to decorate a little bit. And then I'm also going to trim these ends just a little bit, just to make it look a little nicer and even. And there we go. There's our finished crocheted ornament. Hope you found this little tutorial easy and helpful so that you could follow along with it perfectly. I absolutely love making these little ornaments. I think it's the perfect little last minute gift idea. And before I let you go, I thought I would share a couple of yarn ideas with you. So This is the little set that I'm going to be gifting to friends and family this year. I have combined 4 different colors to create this 3 ornament set. Now, like I mentioned, this pattern is designed to use 2 strands of fingering weight yarn held together for kind of a mall look. I think it's just super cute and modern but traditional at the same time, and that's kind of my favorite style. But in this tutorial, I made this one, which is obviously a bulkier. It's much bigger than the others, and it would be super cute if you were, you know, decorating a bigger tree. You wanted the ornaments to be a little bit more noticeable. So you can really have fun with it and play around, use whatever yarn you like. I will link this specific yarn and the colors that I used down in the description box below if you want to use the same palette that I did. This is just Knit Picks palette yarn, and it is super fun to use in my opinion. So I will link it down below if you want to use that. As I mentioned earlier, you can find the pattern down in the description box below as well. So be sure to reference that if you want a written copy of this tutorial per se. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it really helpful and fun to follow along with. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would love to have you, and I am so grateful for you. Happy holidays. Until next time, happy making. Bye.